their first win at home. When the team is kind of struggling up and down, is it tough as the head coach to sort of reinforce that message or what you're trying to get across to the team?
Well, I've had a chance to talk to Janelle, who played for me at Rutgers, and she said the spirit of the team is still very good, and that's a credit to Jim Guevara and his staff that they've managed to maintain a positive outlook. You know, being close to the cellar. I mean, when you're a coach or a player in any athletic event, you know, you lose sleep. You don't like losing. Losing is tough. And when you're not winning games, it's very, very difficult. But one of the things you have to do is you have to stay together. And if the chemistry of the team splits, people start pointing fingers, when those sorts of things happen, there's no chance to recover. So these are professionals. The coaches are responsible for being the leaders of that, and you have to maintain a certain semblance of chemistry or you'll never regain it.
Getting set for Boston and Sky Blue. Boston, first of 7 straight games on the road. Sky Blue looking to get their first home win here today. We'll take a short break, then we'll throw it up to the broadcast booth. Mike Watts and Dan Lillette will have the call. It is Boston and Sky Blue coming up next. Stay tuned after this short timeout.
You get the look. You get the leash. You get out the door. You get sudden numbness and a severe headache, signs of stroke. So you get help. You get to a Meridian emergency room. You get treatment found only in primary stroke centers to stop stroke in its tracks. You get better. And back to your best friends. Learn more at meridianneuroscience.com.
The Soccer for Success program is an innovative after-school program that uses soccer as a tool for social change, specifically to fight childhood obesity.
We're funding ongoing programming for these children. After-school hours. After-school hours for children are the most dangerous time for children in this country. We're filling that gap with a positive program that has health benefits, social benefits, and it's just plain fun.
Olympian and bronze medalist Janelle Foligno. From the playing fields of Birmingham, Alabama to the gold medal fields of Athens, Greece, Kat Whitehill. From Fayetteville, Georgia, as an attacking defender, she helped power the U.S. team to gold in 2012, Kelly O'Hara. She began her career 20 years ago with the East Brunswick Dynamite and led the USA to multiple gold medals, and in doing so inspired thousands of Jersey girls to follow in her footsteps. Heather O'Reilly! From Vineland, New Jersey and Villanova University, she represented the USA at the 2012 London Games. Jillian Lloyden! And from the small town of Point Pleasant, New Jersey to countless cities and nations around the world, her medal count, her games played, and her drive to excellence makes her the true definition of Olympian. She is Christy Rampo! Ladies and gentlemen, would you all please rise and remove your hats as we honor America with the singing of our national anthem performed this afternoon by Lauren Eisenhart.
Charlie.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Lauren. The referee for today's match is Greg Dopka. Assistant referees Kyle Atkins and Alexander Lutman. And the fourth official for today, Danielle Chesky. And now the starting lineups for the visiting Boston Breakers. In goal, number 1, Alyssa Nair. Defender number 8, Julie King. Midfielder number 19, Christy Mewis. Midfielder number 9, Heather O'Reilly. Midfielder number 20, Molly Pathman. Forward number 7, Jasmine Reeves. Midfielder number 10, Leanne Sanderson. Defender number 23, Bianca Sierra. Midfielder number 17, Chelsea Stewart. Forward number 26, Nikki Washington. And defender number 4, Kat Whitehill. The Boston Breakers head coach is Tom Durkin, assisted by Kat Whitehill. And now, your 2014 Sky Blue FC, presented by Meridian Health System. In goal, number 21, Jill Lloyden. Defender number 4, Caitlin Ford. Defender number 5, Kendall Johnson. And forward number 7, Nana. Forward number 8, Monica Ocampo. Midfielder number 10, Katie Friels. Midfielder number 13, Sophie Schmidt. Defender number 18, Lindsay Cutshaw. Forward number 19, Kelly O'Hara. Midfielder number 22, Cammie Levin. And your captain, defender number 3, Christy Rampo. Sky Blue head coach is Jim Guevara, who also participated in the 1988 Olympic Games for the USA. He's assisted by Coach Takayoshi Ishihara and Jay Cooney, And the Sky Blue FC athletic trainers are Sue Penrod and
Sky
Mike
Blue
Hackett.
FC, a pair of NWSL squads getting ready for an afternoon matchup, part of a big day of soccer, not only in the NWSL, but also for the United States men's national team tonight at 6. Hi, everybody. Mike Watts with Dan Laletta. Thanks for tuning in. And, well, Dan, when you look at these two teams, they're teams that are going in the same direction. It's just maybe not the right one. It's going to be tough, though, today. Rest is certainly going to be a factor.
Certainly for the Breakers. They played Thursday night at home against Seattle Reign FC. They're the best team in the league. They fell behind early. Consequently, they chased the game for about 88 of the 90 minutes. No training on Thursday, no training on Saturday. Right in here, fresh off that Thursday game. Coach Tom Durkin said he just couldn't afford to run them out there to practice.
Well, we'll see how that maybe affects the Boston Breakers here today. Let's take a look at the starting lineups already announced down on the field. Let's begin with the Boston Breakers, the visiting team. And they're running what might be a 4-5-1, a 3-5-2. There's a couple of ways this could shake out.
Well, I expect them to sit back early and kind of see how the legs are after the Thursday game, and then the bus ride to New Jersey. Not a very long bus ride, but again, short rest, and Bianca Sierra jumps in with no training sessions at all with her teammates. She was acquired midweek in a trade with Washington. She'll start off and back, but I wouldn't be surprised to see her move up into the midfield a bunch during the game.
Tom Durkin says baptism by fire for her. Let's take a look at the Sky Blue FC lineups. Ashley Nick not in the starting lineup, dealing with a knock. We're going to see how Sophie Schmidt maybe takes over at the defensive midfield spot.
Concussion for Nick Schmidt, who has traditionally been better the deeper she's played in the midfield. She'll start at the holding midfield position, but Sky Blue needs attack. They need goals. They need to hold on to the ball in the midfield. They've got rest issues as well. Christy Rampone played for the national team on Thursday. Traditionally, she's been real good on short rest, but she's also battling the nagging foot injury, so we'll see how she does today in the hot conditions.
Absolutely. And now, Dan, let's get to maybe keys of the game. It was a 2-2 draw, a big comeback for Sky Blue on the road last week. Meanwhile, on Thursday, it was this same Boston team that fell to Seattle 2-0. What do these teams need to do to come out with 3 points?
Well, Sky Blue did not play well in that 2-2 draw. They kind of flurried for a few minutes and got the goal, and then they got a second goal a few minutes later. So Sky Blue just needs to possess the ball, especially if Boston's going to be sitting back early on. Sky Blue needs to possess the ball and make very deliberate passes so that they can set up their forwards to score goals. The Breakers really need their legs. They also need to not fall behind early. They were playing a Seattle team minus 4 starters. Breakers were on a ton of rest. 90 seconds in, Joanna Lohman misses on a ball in the midfield, a 50-50 ball, might have even been a 60-40 ball in her favor. Then Kat Whitehill got burned, and they're down 1-0 after 90 seconds.
So we'll see if Boston can get a better start than they did last week. Boston in the all-blue jerseys with the white trim. It's orange and white for Sky Blue FC as they move right to left on your computer screen. It's in the 80s in New Jersey, and while it's not nearly as humid as it is in Brazil, still it's a little bit sticky here in New Jersey, and we'll see how these teams maybe shake out with that in mind.
Yeah, it felt warm to me down on the field before. It hasn't been a real hot summer yet, so I think a day like this, it might not be hot by regular summer standards, feels a bit hotter than it normally would.
Ball kicked over the touchline, and Sky Blue gets their first throw of the game as Caitlin Ford, who traditionally pushes forward quite a bit, is well across midfield. Schmidt sends it further, but they send it back, and it's maybe a player we're seeing more and more in the attack in Rampone, who started this ball up the right side. Here's a ball towards the right corner of the box. It's onside, cross to the middle. Kidu has it headed away from her on the way in. Chelsea Stewart knocked it away. Held by Schmidt. Out wide, Kendall Johnson. Ball kicked away again on the way to Kidu, and early in the game they seem to be looking for her in the attack. Taken by Ocampo, back into the lineup. 2 goals against Boston in 2 games this year, and Sky Blue resets. What is it about Monica Ocampo against the Boston Breakers that makes her so effective?
Well, I'm not sure that it's specific to the Breakers, so I'll let you get on this play here.
Here's Ford into the middle, and it's kicked into the goal. Kelly O'Hara. For the second straight week, Boston is beaten early. 1-0 Sky Blue.
It was 93 seconds against Seattle on Thursday, and they about cut that in half here. Looks like at the 44-second mark, and they were sitting back early as Tom Durkin promised, but all of a sudden that tactic will be out the window because they're now playing from behind again.
First-minute goal. One of the fastest in NWSL history. And Kelly O'Hara takes the cross and slots it in.
Sky Blue is attacking down the right side, and O'Hara was able to sneak in the back post there, and nobody marked her. Nair went for it, didn't get it. That's a big goalie no-no, and O'Hara was there to finish it off.
So Nair beat for the first time today. It was a 1-0 game between these two teams early in May that ended up being a 1-0 result where Monica Ocampo scored early in the first half. Sky Blue was able to hold on late. We'll see if that maybe takes a similar path here, although this one is maybe a little bit later than Clint Dempsey would have scored it.
That's true. And we'll see now if Boston is content to sit back on the 1-0 deficit and get their legs under them, or if they start to push forward right away.
Well, they try to begin to push forward here. Taken by Washington. Sanderson. Kicked ahead. Couple of players racing after it. And it's going to be kicked out. Heather O'Reilly was there, as was Jasmine Reeves. Washington throws in. O'Reilly looking for the foul, gets it. And it was a bit of a delayed call there on the third official on the near sideline.
It was, and if there's one thing about Sky Blue, they have the defensive personnel where they should be able to sit on a lead, maybe not for the entire 90 minutes, but their defensive personnel can play a lot better than it has been so far this season.
Sanderson nodded away. Taken right back, Stewart. Knocked hard to the ground is Washington. This is Pathman. And nodded upfield. Kelly O'Hara's got some room to work with. Ocampo streaking down the middle of the field out in front of her. A leading ball, Ocampo has it poked away from her.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official time for today's game will be kept on the field by the referee. Please be aware that soccer balls may enter the
Here's a long ball launched over the bar. Ocampo decided to go from distance. About a 20-yard shot, just put it over the bar.
And you mentioned Ocampo earlier. Ocampo is the one player on this Sky Blue team that can score pretty much on a dime. She doesn't need a lot of space. She doesn't need a lot of time. She can finish from any number of places on the field and doesn't need much. Her issue is she's not generally a 90-minute player. Maybe doesn't have a whole lot of pace, so it's easy to close down on her. But she is the one real true goal scorer on this club.
Won that Sky Blue FC Golden Boot a year ago, but hasn't really been able to find it against anyone other than Boston this season.
Yeah, she's been injured a little bit, missed some time, came in off the bench when she was knocked a little bit. Here comes Boston on the counter now.
O'Reilly pokes it ahead, kicked out by Kutschel. Rampone takes the roundabout route and boots it upfield, where O'Hara's there to take it away, and we've seen Sky Blue early in the game try and be lethal on these counters. Kicked further by Friels, but taken away. Bianca Sierra getting in on that, and that's a player who we're going to see get some significant minutes down the stretch, but in this case doesn't even get time to train with Boston before being folded right into the team in her first game with the squad after the big Lisa Devanna trade that made some waves around the league to Washington earlier this week.
I wonder if it's even a little bit easier to come in without any training session than maybe 1 or 2 hour sessions where you're trying to digest a lot of information. But she's a young player. The Spirit signed a whole bunch of extra defenders. Sierra was expendable, and it just didn't work out in Boston for Lisa Devanna. In fact, last time she was here, she got a red card. Looked like a straight red for dissent, actually, in the final minutes.
Here's Ocampo again. Gets around Nair! And Kidu not able to get to it in time as it just leaked past the goal.
Nair looked a little bit hesitant in that particular play to come out. Almost got burned by it. Looked like she came off a little bit late and got beat by it, but fortunately for her, unfortunately for Ocampo, it missed the target.
Nair, 25 years old from Connecticut, and it's launched downfield. Worth noting, by the way, the scoreboard here at the Ursac field to our left is completely off. So if you're wondering why the time isn't on the score graphic, that would be why. Here's a ball kicked to the middle of the field, and it's cut out by Julie King. A dangerous ball to get it out. Eventually they do. And Rampone fighting all the way with Reeves, who wins the throw.
And you see Rampone covering the right side there. Ford really trying to push up in the attack. That created the early Sky Blue goal, and her strength out of the back. She is a tremendous defender. She is outstanding getting forward from the right back slot.
So we're somewhere in maybe the 5th or 6th minute at this point. It's a 1-0 Sky Blue FC lead. Kicked long by Johnson, and down it falls for Ocampo. And a foul goes against Monica. A little extra action with Christy Mewis. Quick restart. Nikki Washington, the target, up the right touchline. Tries to get around Johnson, who puts her feet right in the way and kicks it out.
That was a quick restart by Whitehill, but if we get a chance a little bit later, she can really drive a ball from about that spot near midfield into the box. So we'll see if the Breakers try to utilize that at any point.
Johnson tries to eke away from Washington and does. Held in by Sierra. To the middle of the field goes Mewis. Sliding challenge, knocks it away by 11. And now Ford upfield for O'Hara. And Sky Blue, when they've moved from defense to attack thus far, they've been really dangerous with a lot of open room there. It seems like Boston isn't really staying as far back as maybe we had thought they would when we talked with Tom Durkin before the game.
Right, he didn't. He left out the part about them falling behind in 44 seconds, so you never know. But it does look like Boston's trying to attack, but as soon as they give the ball up, dropping back into shape and trying to take the ball away right around this part of the field they just did.
Grabbed by Whitehill. Sanderson. Out wide for Washington and off the side of Johnson. Washington recovers. Sanderson, an all-world talent, tried to sneak it up the right touchline, and it's an offside against Reeves. Not surprising. A lot of offsides seem to go against teams that face Sky Blue FC, and if you talk to them, it's certainly part of the game plan.
It's living dangerously, but it can certainly work out in their favor. Reeves, in that particular case, didn't agree. Not the first, won't be the last player with that particular reaction to an offsides flag going up.
O'Hara's goal being announced here on Olympic Day. I suppose it's only right that she's the girl to score.
And the clock is back to 10th minute now.
1-0, a Sky Blue lead in the first minute. Cross to the middle of the field that Nair couldn't quite snag down, went right to the foot of O'Hara, who popped it in the net. So if you miss a minute, you missed a lot in this one. But Sky Blue playing an entertaining brand thus far, and that they've done a good job of getting chances early. Here's another opportunity for Kidu. Holds it in. Oh, nice move up the end line. Cross to the middle of the field. Nobody's there to get it. Out to Schmidt. Lines it up. Blocked on the way in as Nair dives. Whitehill was there, so was King. Corner for Sky Blue.
Looked like King's the one that got ahead on it. Tom Durkin, when we spoke to him about an hour ago, was very complimentary of Julie King, who struggled a good deal last season, but is one of the more improved NWSL players in 2014.
This is Friels looking to take it. Nick is the usual target. She's not in today. Looks for O'Hara. Drops to the foot of Kutschel, and she's not able to put an extra touch to it. Reeves able to shield everybody off the ball. Ford still fighting. And she steals it away. We talk a lot about Caitlin Ford offensively, but she's coming along defensively quite well in her second year with Sky Blue FC.
I thought she struggled a little bit coming back from the Asian Cup. Took her a little while to get going. Sometimes we take for granted how much travel and how often these girls play and how often they travel around the world.
Well, and Sanderson might be the best opportunity to explain that. She played in Belarus and Ukraine as an offside whistled against O'Hara for Sky Blue, but she was able to go from Ukraine straight back to England and then made it back to the United States in time to play in this game.
Because of the old private plane from Ukraine, from what we were told.
Brought up by the Breakers in blue. Extends up the touchline. Blocked, sent up top. And kicked away now from Mewis. Kicked ahead by Whitehill. Sanderson trying to get there. Out wide for Washington as it's dummied through. Cross. Near bicycle kick try. Looks like a potential handball. Not whistled, and Rampone kicks it out.
That play was all started by Whitehill's long ball. It wasn't a set piece, but she sent the ball from right near the center circle there, and that got Boston going offensively. Now they got a corner kick.
Sanderson lines up. Easy to find. Her hair is obvious. Launched across. Headed high into the air. Jillian Lloyden pulls it down, making her third straight start for Sky Blue.
That was Julie King again who got her head on that corner kick, so that's now one on the corner kick for each side.
O'Hara, a lot of pace, looking for Friels, knotted down, stolen by Ocampo, and ripped off the ball without a whistle by Mewis. Upfield it goes where Reeves is facing off with Rampone, who wins it away. And Kutschel now, who's seeing a lot more time of late, scored her first professional goal in the last matchup in the second half to start the rally against Chicago.
It was kind of neat that Kutschel scored and then Maya Hayes scored. Those were the two first-round picks for Sky Blue.
Here's O'Hara again, tried to get it through, and what an incredible play by Sierra on the sliding challenge to keep the cross away from Ocampo.
There's her baptism by fire right there. You don't have to train with a team to know how to jump in front of a ball like that.
And another aerial over the top is able to unlock the Boston defense, this time for a corner. Here's Friels. Has Schmidt at the top of the 6 as a potential target and puts it on the top of the net.
Mike, you mentioned Kutschel. She started when Sky Blue played in Boston. It was when they were trying to rest Christy Rampone, so she started next to Coco Goodson. And Leanne Sanderson had her way with Kutschel in the first half of that game. That was a lot of the difference in that match, and then Rampone came in for Kutschel second half. They haven't met up quite as often so far in this one. We'll see if that becomes a matchup to watch at any point. And this time, of course, it's Kutschel for Goodson, who's on the bench for the first time as a Sky Blue player.
As she has started every game this year, missed 45 minutes of a game a few weeks ago, and with a 3-game and 6-day stretch coming up here, including 2 games out on the West Coast with Portland and Seattle this week, giving her some time off. Ford takes it, and Rampone receives again. Ford slows the pace. Levin gives it back. And not quite able to hold it in on that far touchline. A throw coming up. Kelly O'Hara again playing a big role in the attack early here in the 15th minute. We'll have Tom Kolker with us in just a moment. He's got a report from the sideline as back it goes. Jillian Lloyden, an Olympian herself, was, I believe, the 3rd goalkeeper on the U.S. team in London.
Not a lot of spotlight for the 3rd goalkeeper, but quite the thrill, I'm sure, to be over there and part of the team, especially when you come home with a gold medal.
That doesn't hurt. A lot of room here. 4 dishes off. Friels lines it up off of Washington, who's playing all the way back in the box. Here's Kidu. Not on the cross. And held by Nair, but it got over the line. So a corner coming up, just wasn't able to keep that off the end line.
Yeah, she tried to sell it there by running out with it quickly, but it escaped over the touchline on her.
The official on the far sideline was not fooled. Friels once again for Sky Blue to take the corner.
Guys, we're seeing a lot of pressure on that far side of the field as this corner kick comes in. It'll be
near header by
O'Hara.
Over
the end line for another
Whitehill was able
goal
to get
kick,
there
but
first, and she's
right
not
now,
the tallest
Sky Blue
player on
really
the field,
attacking
but
that
they've
far
aimed
side
for
of
her
the
a
field.
couple times on these
Putnam
corners.
and Whitehall, you're seeing them get a lot of pressure and really attack that back line. We'll see if it can continue here in the first half. Let's go back up to the broadcast booth with Mike and Dan.
We have Tom Kolker down on the sideline with an update, Tom. We weren't quite able to get him there. We'll try and sneak up to him a little bit later, as he provides a little extra insight from down there, and he'll talk with Glenn Crooks, the Rutgers women's soccer coach, as well, and both of them have really given a lot of insight this year. Taken by Ocampo. And this ball was pretty poorly hit. That was nowhere near a dangerous ball.
Yeah, she'll want that one back, but that's what Sophie Schmidt can do from deep in the midfield. A one-touch ball that changes the point of attack and sent Ocampo through there. It's not, I think the farther upfield Schmidt goes, the more she tries to possess the ball and I think her game is better suited to play a little bit deeper and do things like she just did there.
And we've seen when she's not playing there, Rampone will play some balls over the top, but really most of the other players, the outside players, like to bring it up themselves. It's kind of a portion of the game that hasn't really been used all that much this year by SBFC.
That's true, and Schmidt, in the game that Sky Blue won in Portland, was the absolute dominating factor in the midfield in that game that allowed Sky Blue to keep the game. Her and some good saves by Lloyd and kept that game scoreless and controlled the midfield late.
Cross through near Sanderson and knotted down. Stolen right back by Whitehill, who rushes up in the attack. Has Reeves in the middle of the field, who takes it. Still fighting, turning shot wide.
Couldn't tell if Reeves had a shot initially there, as Whitehill a little bit slow to get up. Couldn't tell if Reeves had a shot initially, but she elected to dribble it back out and turn for a better angle.
And they were looking for an offside, but when you just kick the ball out, a steal, it's really not truly a pass all that much, but wasn't offside anyway. So Jillian Lloyden goes to work. Lloyden making her 10th start of the year, only 1-4-4 this year. She's struggled at times in net, but has made a fair number of good saves for this Sky Blue team, and it'll be interesting to see how she responds with this 1-0 lead, which was garnered back in the first minute by Kelly O'Hara. Then up toward Levin, and out it goes.
I was just going to say, Mike, an interesting goalie matchup, because I think probably Lloyden and Nair are 4-5 on the depth chart right now as the keepers that would get called in to a national team camp if anything were to happen to the top three or if there was a change in form. Lloyden had been in earlier this year. Nair's had her chances. She's played pretty well this season, so I think both of them have to feel like they've at least got a shot to be part of the mix heading to the World Cup next summer.
Kidu knocked down, and it's merely a throw, and we'll see whether or not either of them can put their name back in the conversation. It's been difficult to look at the goal against average for Nair, but she does lead the league in saves. Over the top of everybody. Still down in the box, and Washington tries to head it away. Instead, it falls for Sky Blue again. Here's O'Hara. Chests it down. Through traffic, knocked down, and picked up by Nair.
Nair gave up a soft one to Seattle the other night. That was Thursday, so she'll have to be hoping that the national team staff didn't realize they were playing, maybe, since the national team was playing at the same time. Maybe she can wipe that off her resume tape.
Film that no one saw,
exactly.
Hopefully. Although when Seattle plays a game, usually people tend to watch. I've seen the ratings. They tend to do pretty well.
That, too, is true. With good reason. They're fun to watch.
Although, who knows if their unbeaten streak will last another day. This is maybe the most difficult game they're going to play in the near term, given the length of travel and that Western New York seems to be back in form that maybe we expected them to be in at the start of the year, and that 5-game winless streak is a thing of the past.
And they were the closest team to beating Seattle. The Rain needed a stoppage time equalizer.
Bending ball. Held down, and Mewis continues the clear. O'Reilly back, and Pathman sends it back for Whitehill. We're into the 21st minute, 1-0 Sky Blue. One of 2 games on the NWSL docket, and well, Dan, I wouldn't be shocked, and you said it before the game, if this is the day Seattle did fall.
Well, there's no Abby Wambach for the Flash, but there's no Hope Solo for the Rain, and they might get Rapinoe back.
Nikki Washington won't get to this ball in time as it's played back a bit dangerously, and Lloyden able to push it forward.
They all lose at some time, but that game's at 3 o'clock right after our game. That's till 5, then you have a dinner break, and then U.S.-Portugal at 6, so it's a good day of soccer lined up for you.
We did this conveniently for the dinner break, of course, as a lot of the fans and staff.
Part of the day.
Yeah, right. Everybody's headed out to watch the game together afterwards. Some special promotions for the fans that decide to come out and join some of the players and the staff to watch the USA-Portugal game.
The National Guard is proud to be the official armed
there was a video that went somewhat viral of the U.S. women's national team, of course, playing France, watching the Clint Dempsey goal in the first minute against Ghana. fair number of those players out on the field here this afternoon on a sunny day. But a matchup of two teams at the bottom of the standings looking to start a second half run. It's taken by O'Reilly and moved along by Pathman, who's dealing with a bit of a knock at the moment.
Unfortunately for both teams, the math doesn't work out too well for them. To get into a top 4 spot, there's a 9-team league, but there's always going to be 2 teams that you're trying to catch playing each other because there just aren't enough teams to spread the schedule out. So one of these 2 teams, if they're going to make it or even make a run, are going to have to go on something like a 7 out of 9 tear. Neither one really has shown with the type of soccer they've played that they have the ability to do that.
And at this point in the season, these are the teams that are going to run the rest of the way. There's very few deals being made at this point. The Devanna trade and a Danish player being brought in by Sky Blue notwithstanding. Diagonal ball offside Ocampo.
And I think the schedule, which every time you talk to a coach, they all talk about the schedule, about how Kansas City, I think, had a 9-game stretch where it was midweek weekend for it was like 9 games in 30 days.
5 weeks with 9 games, yeah.
And when you have that happen, it's a lot easier, I think, for the teams who are on top to kind of stay on top because it's hard to run off 6, 7 really sharp matches in a row when you're so tired.
Reeves leaves it back. Pathman the service for Sanderson, but Johnson in the way. And Nana turns the ship around and leaves it for the defense.
Lindsay, have a look.
Kansas City's actually won 5 in a row. Probably not a coincidence that they're playing their best soccer now that their schedule has calmed down.
And they're definitely in the thick of things. They're in second place in the NWSL, 15 games played, and that's something to keep track of because while Portland, not in the playoff picture right now, they've got 3 games in hand over the second place team. And don't trail by 9 points. You win those games, all of a sudden you are the second best team in the league.
Yep, and they opened it up for 6 goals last night, so maybe things are pointing upward for the Thorns too.
Another ball played through. This one's a perfect one. O'Hara from distance and put it right of the goal. Sky Blue FC Soccer is presented by Meridian Health. The Boston Breakers visiting for the second time this year. The third meeting between these two teams. They split the initial pair of games, a home and home at Harvard Stadium, and here at Yersack Field, a 3-2 loss for Sky Blue, a 1-0 win for this home squad when they played at Yersack Field in early May. They've only had 1 win since as Sky Blue, and that was on the road to Portland, who they play on Wednesday. Held by Schmidt. Sanderson, the pressure against the defensive line, and Kutschel now. Initially, we heard maybe 3 in the back for part of this game for Boston, but right now they've got 5 on the back line, and they're still beaten. Here's O'Hara. Blocked on the way in. Julie King able to keep it away, but another corner for Sky Blue.
When coaches talk about playing 3 in the back for times, that's predicated on being able to possess the ball and attack. There's not much sense of only keeping 3 back there when you're on your heels, and I think Sky Blues had a little bit too much possession for Boston to really have found that 3-back formation.
So the game plan not really going according to plan. Launch to the middle of the field, and Sanderson will take it on the way out.
Money, run with her, running.
A lot of pace for Reeves. She latches on. Looks to get around Johnson. Back for Sanderson. Has Mewis in the middle of the field. O'Reilly as well. Mewis takes it, has it stolen away from her by Johnson, and back it comes the other direction.
Good defensive play there by Sky Blue.
And they're able to hold the ball long enough to really switch field. Everybody moving forward in orange. It was nearly stolen in the midfield. Instead, Sky Blue continues to possess in the 27th minute, a 1-0 lead for the home side. Held in by Johnson. To the middle of the field, dummied through by Ocampo. Taken by O'Hara. In for Ocampo, and Nayer's there.
Nice job by Sierra there to give Nair the screen she needed to make an easy pickup on that ball.
Here's Heather O'Reilly. Outside for Stewart. O'Reilly again to the middle of the field. Knocked away by Johnson, who has been absolutely everywhere in this match thus far. You really can't say enough about what she does as a player who can come up and serve the ball across, as a player who's defended very well, especially on the counter today. She's really done a little bit of everything.
Another player who's had her ups and downs this season, but this looks to be one of the ups.
Here's another aerial try, and it's wide left of the goal. O'Hara tried to go for the beauty as someone was running right on her tail. Instead, another goal kick.
They're all enjoying today's match from the Sky Blue Cabana. For more information about our exciting Cabana packages,
a reminder that Sky Blue FC Soccer is also presented by Avis, the official rental car provider of Sky Blue FC. Fans who come to the game can check their game program for a special offer just for Sky Blue FC fans. So a quick toss in, easily stolen away, but taken right back by Friels, who's been busy in the midfield, hasn't got a lot of attacking touches, but has kind of played a little bit like Schmidt has really struggled to possess the ball, but in this case it really hasn't mattered all that much because Schmidt's done so well behind her.
She's another player that can, as the offsides flag goes up again, she's another player, Friels, who can change the game with one touch. Right now, she's a young player looking for a little consistency. I think Jim Gabera and Sky Blue would like to see her put her imprint on the game every single time out there. As we've seen it this year, she has one real good game, one okay game, one game where you don't see her. I think the next step for Katie Friels' development is becoming much more consistent.
Friels leads the team in goals at 4. Stewart, a nice ball to find Sanderson, but knocked out by Johnson again, who stays busy at her left fullback position.
Tight.
O'Reilly's got a lot of room. Decides to walk it in. Sanderson. Knocked by Kidu and kicked out by Kutschel.
Face it. That's tight. Who you got, Nana?
These are two of the teams that have met the most of all the teams in the NWSL. Here's a ball served across and nobody's there to take it. Ford initially able to keep it away from Pathman, who eventually wins it back. Headed by Rampone. Taken by Washington. Sanderson back. Pathman. A low cross. O'Reilly. Outside for Stewart. Gets through. Sanderson. Knocked down. And it's kicked upfield by Kidu.
It's the first real clear chance there for Boston. For Sanderson in front. I thought Lloyden got a piece of it.
I believe so too, but may have been a block in there as well. She got that hand up high, and when someone's that close, you just don't want them to chip it over you. And she was able to prevent it right there. Kicked up again. Reeves chests it down, puts it to the right post, and puts it in. Jasmine Reeves ties the game 30 minutes after Sky Blue took a first-minute lead. It's a brand new ball game. We're tied at 1.
And that's good work by Jasmine Reeves. That's the second or third time that she's been up against multiple defenders and has managed to come away with the ball. And Reeves was part of the biggest win this season for the Breakers when Tom Durkin benched all of his international players, his U.S. internationals anyway. Reeves scored a hat-trick in a 4-1 win over the Thorns that had the entire league buzzing, and that's a good hard work. That's a goal scorer's goal right there for Reeves to knot us up.
Well, that's only her 4th of the season, so that's...
Right, do the math.
That's really been it for her this year in terms of getting on the score sheet, as Nana holds it in. Johnson spins away from the pressure, and upfield it goes for Friels. Gets by Kidu, Ocampo chasing. Sierra merely has to kick it away.
And it has to be disappointing for Sky Blue because they got on top early. They've been the better team, had more chances, and here they are a half hour in, and it's 1-1.
The offside flag was up on the 11 pass to Ocampo, but a bit of a delayed whistle. Either way, this is a 1-1 game now, and it does have to be a bit disappointing to get that early goal, which they got against Boston last time these teams played, and they were able to hold it the remaining 78 minutes. With the number of chances that they were starting to generate over the top, you kind of felt like it wouldn't hold. Reeves again. Johnson will boot it to the bleachers.
Breakers, on the other hand, they had their entire tactical scenario blown up in 44 seconds, so they have to be feeling pretty good right now. Big thing for Boston is how long can the players who played on Thursday or flew over from Europe, in Sanderson's case, how long can they go, and will the bench players be able to make a difference?
Good, Kendall.
Throw coming for Sky Blue on the defense, and
Good fight.
is this the point where you go back to the game plan that you set up before you got to the field, or are you now playing a different ball game even though it is tied again?
Well, I don't think you want to sit back too much and give Sky Blue, there's another offsides on Ocampo. I don't think you want to give Sky Blue too much confidence on the ball and confidence going forward. So I don't think you want to sit too much at this point. And part of the reason for it was to get the legs going and see who was what with their fitness. They should be beyond that at this point. And if you're looking for maybe 70, 75 minutes out of a player like O'Reilly or Sanderson, I think from here on out, you can move up and try to get a second goal. And let's be honest, neither of these teams are playing for a draw. They need points, they need to win. And even if you're conceding that maybe the playoffs are too far out of touch for you, even at that point, the goal would be to get 3 points.
Especially at home for Sky Blue, where usually they're very good. And that was the case last year. This year, that has not been the case. They've lost more times than they've secured a result thus far at Ursac Field, and part of that is they've faced a couple of really tough teams here. O'Hara over the top, latches on, onside, and it goes through the arms of Nair, who allows it to pass by. It got blasted wide left.
Looks like she wanted to touch it, but it
too quick?
Didn't happen, so it's a goal kick. It's also for Boston, by the way, it's the first of 7 straight games on the road, so clearly the goal for them has to be to win these games because there's just too many road games in a row.
Sanderson controls, and one of the questions that Tom Durkin posed to us was, you know, when you take a full month, 7 straight games away from home, do the fans return? And in a league that's so young, that's a question that needs to be asked. If it's not part of your routine to go to these games and you disappear for a month, do you get people to return to the routine that maybe they started early in the season?
It's a tough sell, especially if you look at attendance in soccer leagues, men's and women's. It picks up when the school year ends, which is right about now. Hard to pick up attendance when you have no home games.
Kidu cuts it out. The offside flag is up, but they will finally whistle it after initially allowing Sky Blue to begin to move the ball the other way.
I'll also add that it's easy to sit back and say, well, they should have just had this team play on this day or have this team not, you know,
yeah, it's not a
city,
simple system.
Teams do not control their
No.
venues. There are travel concerns. There's national team call-ups to think about, which they don't even fully know about when the schedule comes out. There are many more factors that go into making the schedule than we think.
And especially with 9 teams, someone's got to sit.
Yes.
Racing all the way down, forcing it to the middle. Knocked down is O'Hara, still loose in the box, kicked out by Stewart.
It's another terrific play. That's Sierra in there, bothering O'Hara. Didn't let her get the shot off.
Thus far, she has really stepped up to the challenge after not getting a single day to train. Over the top, Mewis was the intended receiver, but grabbed by Lloyden, who quickly restarts it the other way.
And that's the type of play, even if you give away a penalty, the alternative is O'Hara has a tap-in goal, so you might as well take an aggressive stand and try to win the ball clean. That's what she did.
Forward up in the attack. Taken by Ocampo. Here's Friels. Finds room, knocked out by Nair. Another shot held off the line by Nair. Ocampo not able to get it across the line. We stay tied at 1. And this counter moves quickly.
Caitlin, you gotta get back.
They've got Reeves and Sanderson forward. O'Reilly on the ball for Sanderson. Loose in the 18 and picked up by Lloyden.
Caitlin, back to
Breakers
the
might
flag.
have countered too quick for their own good there. A lot of their players didn't have time to get up and support that and challenge the second ball.
Couple great chances in a row. The counter may be a little too quick, but we'll see if Sky Blue can put something together. Levin tracks it down, and her cross is blocked. Corner kick.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, any fans participating in today's halftime festivities, please report to your designated areas. Once again, any fans
And for the first time, we're going to see Nana Kidu take this corner rather than Friels, who took the first 3 for Sky Blue in this game. And we'll see if maybe Friels can be a little more of a presence in the box than she was actually taking the kicks.
Yeah, none of the 3 made too much of an impression.
She'll hit with her left foot. Swings it out. Headed outside. Ocampo the strike. Wide left.
That was a very well-placed corner. No Sky Blue player could get ahead on it.
They really have been trying to get O'Hara on the back post, which is a bit surprising when you've got Schmidt, who maybe is known as a little bit more of a target, with Ashley Nick out of the
Yeah,
lineup.
Schmidt's probably the best aerial player. Maybe they found a little breakdown in the Breakers' back post defense.
Stolen by Katie Friels. Taken by O'Hara. Her back pass stolen by Sanderson. Reeves. Kutschel chasing. Reeves overruns the ball, picks it back up. Into the box. Stewart. Middle of the field, Mewis. Looks for Sanderson over the top, and she won't be able to track it down in time. 40th minute in New Jersey. We're tied at 1. A first-minute goal from O'Hara set the tone, but the Breakers respond in the 31st minute. Both teams looking for what would be a key 3 points to any potential turnaround they may be trying to muster in the second half of the season.
This might be the most entertaining half of soccer we've seen at Yersack this season.
I don't disagree. A lot of great chances, although it's headed down and brought up by O'Hara, who has a clip off her shoulder on the way out, and it'll be a throw coming up. We're seeing this aerial attack that Sky Blue hasn't used much this year, as opposed to building up from the wings and trying to play that way. It's a different style than we've seen, but one that thus far has been fairly effective.
And when you're languishing on the bottom, you might as well change things up.
Team that made the playoffs last year, lost a couple of players, whether it's the expansion draft or losing players to trades that they made over the offseason. Brought up by Ocampo, and Rampone chases. She'll move this across half. You can see Schmidt a solid 50 yards from goal at the holding defensive mid spot. Taken by Ford, most outstanding young player at the last Women's World Cup. Ocampo turns, Friels. Eventually forced off the ball. Sanderson took it, but Schmidt takes it back.
Julie King again in the mix there defensively.
She's been big down the middle. Here's Johnson. Launched into the middle of the field. Falls off the backside of the cleat of Ocampo, whose hands are over her head. Headed by Kutschel and taken by Ford. And again, Sky Blue controls. That's one of the best center back combinations in the league. Another through ball that's whistled for offside. But when you look at King and Whitehill play together at the center back spot, they've started every game, played every minute together, and you can see it. They play fairly well at the center back spot.
King started the season on the outside. You know, they had Kia McNeil last year. They thought she was coming back, but right before training camp, she had a professional conflict and was unable to play this season. And really, that's the moment where it seemed like the Breakers have been chasing all along, because They started with Courtney Jones in central defense. That didn't work out. King was on the outside. She's moved inside. Now they acquired Sierra to play on the outside. But a lot of people look at the McNeil absence on this team as the beginning of what was a rough start. That and Christy Mewis got hurt, missed training camp, missed the first month or so of the season. And again, when you play every week and the whole season is condensed into a short period of time, it's difficult to recover from these things.
Stewart finds Mewis, who, as you mentioned, missed some time early in the season to injury. Mewis missed the first 3 games with an ankle injury. But I think a lot of people thought that Boston would have a better showing by this point, and whether it's injuries or players that didn't work out, Lisa Devanna just really not a great fit with the playing style of the organization, or having to make some moves in the back line late in preseason. They've struggled out of the gate, and midway through the season, they're at the bottom of the table.
They also traded Sydney LaRue for Christy Mewis.
Cut out on the way in for O'Hara,
and
nearly stolen on the ball out.
Performance aside, LaRue scored double digits. She was in double digits in goals last season. They just haven't been able to make that up. Mewis, as good as she'll ever be, is not that sort of goal scorer.
No. And they, I believe, think that Lisa Devanna would provide some of that scoring, and it really just wasn't there for her. They move her to Washington, no goals this year after a really explosive season with Sky Blue FC last year, but just not a terrific fit with Boston, and she moves on to the nation's capital. Sanderson, a sliding challenge with Friels taken by Washington, and Friels steals it away, although a throw coming for the road team in blue. Played up by Mewis. Knocked away. Mewis gets it right back. Now Whitehill leading it forward with about a minute to go before halftime. Played to the middle of the box and taken away. 11 starts the run the other way.
I also think Mewis would be more effective on the wing where she played last year in Kansas City, but there's plenty of good reasons I'm up here and the coaches are down there making those decisions.
Nair able to pull the long ball in, and certainly there's a lot of things that go on the bench and in training that we don't get to see. It certainly shapes the product we see out on the field. It's interesting to kind of find that out later on in the game. Oh, that player was hurt, no wonder. Or
yep.
Maybe there was a disagreement. Well, maybe that's why she didn't start that game. Or maybe that's how she turned her season around, talked with the coach. All stuff that you never seem to find out in the middle of the season, but finds its way out eventually.
Always deeper stories that are fun to find out later on.
Just 1 minute of added time despite a pair of goals. Time being kept down on the field. So Sky Blue will probably get one more good chance here. Ocampo chases after it, but she's not going to win that. Sierra allows Nair to kick it out. We're about 30 seconds into our 1 minute of added time in the first half. Johnson switches field. Ford blasted off the ball. And there is halftime. We've played 45 minutes. We're tied at 1. Mike Watts with Dan Laletta upstairs, high above your sack field. Dan, your thoughts on the first half?
Well, Sky Blue should be, if this were opening day, Sky Blue should be happy with how they're playing soccer. But considering they sit 8th in the table right now, they have to say, you know what, we were better than the Breakers. This game can't be 1-1. They need to come out and make sure they keep that same energy level up in the second half. The Breakers, considering they fell behind early, they should be pretty happy with 1-1. I think it'll be interesting to see how the substitutes work, because with players tired, it's a little bit harder to predict who's going to come off and how long certain players are going to be out there.
Well, we'll be watching that when we head to the second half. We've got the Sky Blue FC halftime report with Tom Kolker and Glenn Crooks after this short timeout. In the first minute, it's O'Hara. In the 31st minute, Reeves with the equalizer. tied at 1 after 45. We'll be back after this short message from Meridian Health.
You get the look. You get the leash. You get out the door. You get sudden numbness and a severe headache, signs of stroke. So you get help. You get to a Meridian emergency room. You get treatment found only in primary stroke centers to stop stroke in its tracks. You get better. And back to your best friends. Learn more at meridianneuroscience.com.
The Soccer for Success program is an innovative after-school program that uses soccer as a tool for social change, specifically to fight childhood obesity.
We're funding ongoing programming for these children after school hours. After school hours for children are the most dangerous time for children in this country. We're filling that gap with a positive program that has health benefits, social benefits, and it's just plain fun.
Halftime here at Sack Field. It is 1-1 between Sky Blue and Boston. Tom Colder, Rutgers head coach, Led Crooks here with you in the broadcast booth. Welcome in, and we're getting ready for the World Cup later tonight. This game sort of resembled that first game for the U.S. against Ghana, as the U.S. got on the scoreboard right away, and 45 seconds in, Kelly O'Hare goes down sort of the right flank, finds a way in, and makes it 1-0 Sky Blue.
Well, when you look at the scoreboard 1-1 at intermission, you watch the play, and it looks like to us that it should have been 3 or 4-1 Sky Blue, as Kelly O'Hara missed 2 other unbelievable opportunities. But yeah, that's an early goal, and sometimes when you score that early goal, and that's what the U.S. claimed against Ghana a bit, is that you kind of fall back into a shell, almost protecting that lead for the next 89 minutes. But Sky Blue did not do that. They continued to control the game, which they did up until the first goal was scored. That was only the second shot on goal in the half for Boston, and so that's the game of soccer right there. Sky Blue dominated possession, dominated in the opportunities, and it's 1-1 at halftime.
Having said that, though, Boston withstood a lot of attack from Sky Blue, and then we talked about in the pregame their idea of playing that counter game, especially coming off a game just last Thursday at home, now traveling down here to play this game. So they played during the middle of the week. Sky Blue didn't. So talking about that counter game where you sort of pick and choose when to make those runs, we saw the counter work as Jasmine Reeves gets her fourth goal of the season, I should say, on a nice ball that was played ahead to her, and she was able to put it in the back of the net.
Yeah, that was a good counterattack goal, and she did a great job against Rampone there, kind of using her body to hold Christie off, and Reeves has great pace, and then it was a nice finish with the outside of the right boot. And they had one other opportunity similar to that just before. But when you're going to sit back, the thing I would say, when you sit back, you need to be very compact defensively so that you don't allow anything in between you. And Sky Blue has gotten in between the defenders too many times if you're going to play a low-pressure game and a counterattack game, which is what we expect possibly from the U.S. today against Portugal. So you need to be very, very compact, similar to some of the matches we've seen in the World Cup where teams have set up to counter. They're not allowing these things. The only thing that you might allow is balls on the flank and service, and maybe sometimes you get around the edge of the flank. But the word is escaping me, but to allow the spacing that they have and the runs in between them, that should not happen.
Well, and that's sort of what happened on that first goal. I mean, it was very quick, but We saw them work down the right sideline, and then O'Hara was able to get behind that back four. Especially, they really worked that right side heavily against Putnam and Whitehall, and they were able to get behind that back line. And then she had enough room along the end line to sort of make her way and create a little bit of space and get that first goal.
No, you're right. A lot of what's happened in the favor of Sky Blue is the fact that they are much pacier than the back line for Boston, especially on Boston's left side, and that's where the goal came from, and that's where many of the opportunities came from, and that's simply just running hard off the dribble, beating somebody, and when you beat one, you beat all four, the way Boston is playing with their flat back four, and they're even dropping a midfielder in to look like a back five. Their shape looks 5-4-1 when they're defending, but they still remain very flat, and that's enabling the quicker Sky Blue players to get in behind. Also, they're making some deceptive runs, and give credit to O'Hara. She's really set herself up to create opportunities to score. Her finishing, though, has been poor, but what Kelly does is she'll just take a couple of false steps towards her own goal and then burst in behind, and the player on the ball needs to read that, and she's gotten in 2 or 3 times with that sort of movement. 3
key players returning for the Boston team, including 2 players from the national team and 1 from England. Stevenson, we saw her in that first half play an integral part sort of in the middle of the field, sort of that midfield player where the ball goes through and then they try and push forward. How would you assess her first half so far as she's making her come back from the English?
Did you say Lewis?
Stevenson, I'm sorry.
Oh,
the
yeah.
English player.
No, she's having an impact. I think she's very strong with her back to the goal. So the way they want to play in terms of countering, can they get it into her and then lay it off into somebody underneath, and then you have Reeves with all that pace to get in behind. That would be one of the combinations they're looking for. But the other players to get in behind, their quickest players, in addition to Reeves, are Heather O'Reilly on the left and Nikki Washington on the right. And those players can make darting runs, funnel runs towards the center of the field on that up back through. You know, that combination will be critical. And in essence, that's how the first goal was scored. But it came all the way from a center back hitting a really good ball in behind the defense.
Halftime here. If you're just joining us, Tom Kolker, Glenn Crooks. It is 1-1. We saw Sky Blue get off to the real fast start. A goal 45 seconds into the game. Kelly O'Hara, her 3rd of the season. A little bit later in the game, in the 31st minute, Jasmine Reeves gets her 4th of the season. Now she's tied for first on Boston's side in terms of leading the team in goals. So we saw the counter with her there. She's the one player, it seems like, that seems pretty fresh and has some pretty good pace. Again, this Boston team coming off that 2-0 loss this past Thursday at home against Seattle.
Yeah, and the national team players that are returning, you know, they had exhausting trips themselves with you know, the U.S. players going up against France on 2 occasions, and that takes a lot out of you, not just the matches but the travel as well. So definitely Sky Blue, very evident, had the fresher legs in that half, and Boston's substitutions in the second half could play a really key role in this.
Well, you're talking about travel. Sanderson came back from the Ukraine. Now, I think it was on a private plane with the rest of the team, but still, it's not like she was coming up from D.C.
How long is that flight? I don't know.
I have no idea. Let's talk about the second half a little bit.
Okay.
We saw Sky Blue really attack and really dominate possession in the first half. Any reason to think that they don't continue that model in the second half?
No, only unless Boston makes an adjustment and tries to put pressure higher up the field, and then they'll have to break that pressure with some combination play. Right now, all they need to do is swing the ball around the back as Boston drops back with all 10 players behind the ball, and then you're probing and probing. And you could hear it from the sideline, the coaching staff asking them to switch it once, then switch it again, and then you get that weak side fullback, whether it's Johnson or Caitlin Ford, and now they can carry into the attack and create a numbers up situation. So that's happened a couple of times as well. But honestly, when there's no pressure on the ball, if Boston comes out and plays the same way, they should consistently consider to play the ball in behind. And you have to decide where you are on the pitch, whether you can play it over the top directly or you need to play diagonal service so that it eliminates the goalkeeper on those balls. And then it's the timing of the runs.
Yeah, well, look, O'Hara had, you mentioned, 3 great opportunities. Ocampo had a few in the first half. And give credit to Boston goalie Alyssa Nair. She had a really good save in the 37th minute on a ball that was played in the middle of the box, and Friels ends up getting wide open and takes a hard shot from about 12 yards out, and a beautiful save by Nair. This could easily be a 2-1, 3-1 game in favor of Sky Blue. Instead, it's all knotted up at 1.
That was a big save, but Sky Blue was responsible for not adding on to the league. And, you know, it's when you watch today's game, you go, well, there seem to be reasons why they only have 13 goals coming in. O'Hara creating the opportunities but not finishing those opportunities. And you mentioned Katie Friels. There was one occasion where O'Hara stole the ball in the area, played the ball across to Ocampo. It was a second ball that came out and was just sitting there about at the penalty stripe, and Katie Friels was 20 to 25 yards away as an attacking midfielder instead of following the play and being there for the second ball. The thing I thought of immediately is that we would have never had the Landon Donovan goal against Algeria, because it was exactly the same thing. Off the keeper, came out, was laying there,
yeah.
and Donovan from a midfield role came in and finished it up, and that could have been Katie Friels. It wouldn't have been as dramatic a goal, but it certainly would have put Sky Blue up 2-0 and wrest a little bit more control of the game.
Halftime here, Sky Blue looking for their first home win of the season. This is the start of a 7-game road trip for Boston. We'll take a short break, then Mike Watts and Dan Lettle have the call of the second half. Halftime here in New Jersey. We're knotted up at 1, Sky Blue FC and the Boston Breakers back after this short timeout.
You get the look. You get the leash. You get out the door. You get sudden numbness and a severe headache. Signs of stroke. So you get help. You get to a Meridian emergency room. You get treatment found only in primary stroke centers to stop stroke in its tracks. You get better. And back to your best friends. Learn more at meridianneuroscience.com.
The Soccer for Success program is an innovative after-school program that uses soccer as a tool for social change, specifically to fight childhood obesity.
We're funding ongoing programming for these children after school hours. After school hours for children are the most dangerous time for children in this country. We're filling that gap with a positive program that has health benefits, social benefits, and it's just plain fun.
Soccer YouTube channel with Dan Lauletta. I'm Mike Watts. Thanks for coming back for the second half of play. And it's two teams tied at the half. 1-1 is the score here. First minute goal for Kelly O'Hara. Things are looking up for Sky Blue. They give up a goal in the 31st to Reeves. What's maybe the thing you're looking forward to most in this second half for either team to pull away?
Well, in the second half here, Sky Blue has to show they can play a 90-minute solid game. They've been better than the Breakers in possession. They were creating a number of chances, but they've got to prove they can do it for 90 minutes and that they can win a tight game. If this is 1-1, 75th, 80th minute, get that late goal rather than concede the late goal or settle for the 1-1 draw. For the Breakers, it's interesting because they couldn't sit back like we heard they wanted to do because they went behind 1-0. I expect some substitutions for both teams that might be a little bit out of the box because of the short rest. So we'll see how the half develops. It's not stiflingly hot, but it's probably warmer conditions than the teams have played in for much of the season. So fun first half, interesting second half coming up. Both teams really want to get out of here with 3 points.
Certainly so, and both teams making their way back onto the field. And as we look forward to this game right here, 3 points or bust is really both teams' focus. What are the kind of substitutions you could see for maybe Sky Blue? Is it maybe another chance for Maya Hayes to add on to her first professional goal in her last time out to maybe get another chance here?
Absolutely. Ocampo rarely goes 90 minutes, and I don't think you want to have a player who's been struggling in her rookie season, to score a goal, and a pretty big goal at that, against Chicago, and then come out in this game and say, you know what, we don't need you to play. So I think Maya Hayes has to make an appearance on the field for this team. The Breakers have Kem Izarike, another rookie who has, hasn't been great. We actually have one coming up right here for Sky Blue. We'll have a sub to start. We'll let you know about that in a minute. But Kem Izarike for the Breakers, she's another rookie who has struggled and can score goals. I expect to see her at some point.
All right, well, time to turn our eyes back down to the field as we're ready for the second half of play. Sky Blue FC and the Boston Breakers getting ready to try and end this deadlock, and we'll see who can come away with the 3 points in this game.
Nikki Stanton went in for Sky Blue. Didn't see who came off so far, so we'll get you up to date on that as the second half gets kicked off.
And we're into the second half of play. Sky Blue FC trying to turn this into their second win at home against Boston this year. The Sky Blue FC squad moves in the white and orange left to right on your television screen. Say goodbye Rampone, who sends it the other direction. No subs for Boston out of the break. Play back for Kutschel. Ford finds Levin, back to Ford. O'Hara. Schmidt takes it now. And out wide left for Johnson. We don't really see a lot of Nikki Stanton, haven't much this year. She wears the number 44 and holds the ball right now. Kicked along further for Levin. And a hard tackle. Down goes King, hard to the ground. Sanderson starts it up.
Looks like Kiryu came off for Sky Blue with Stanton in.
So an interesting move bringing Nana off. Usually she's good for 70, 80, 90 minutes. Comes off at the half here after playing a strong game up the left flank. Here's a ball to the middle of the field. An extra touch. Levin kicks it out.
She was also fairly effective in that first half, so we'll have to see if there's more to that.
Higher, Nikki, higher!
We'll see if Reeves continues to be a player they go to over the top, as that ball was aimed at her in the middle of the 18-yard box. This is Stanton. And here's Kutschel. Brought ahead by Rampone, one of the Olympians being honored here today. New Jersey Olympics Day. I believe it stretches the week, although it's Olympic Day here at Yersack Field. Extra touch trying to leave it back. And now a foul in fairly good territory for Sky Blue FC as O'Hara was knocked. And a yellow card now given.
Mike, I don't recall Sky Blue having any sort of set piece of this nature in the first half. Boston had a couple, but I think this is Sky Blue's first real dangerous chance off a set piece.
And with Kidu out, it doesn't make a lot of sense to use anyone other than Friels in this position, so she is back after not taking a couple of corners late in the first half. She'll take this free kick, and the way they're lining up, it looks like she'll try and cross and find somebody. Nair sets a two-player wall.
She can sneak one in, though, if given the right angle.
Here's Friels to the back post. Headed higher, and the flag was up for offside.
Looked like O'Reilly there got her head on that one.
So really good free kick position, rather, ends up with no real damage for the Boston Breakers as Sky Blue FC loses a good opportunity there. This is Reeves looking to counter. Touched right on the end line, and a corner kick coming up. Reeves was fighting with Johnson on that play and just barely snuck it off her thigh on the sliding challenge.
Who's on deck? Still not touch tight.
So O'Reilly will take the corner.
Touch tight.
High service. Overshoots everybody. Ford clears it off King, who retreats back to the defensive end. Nearly stolen by Sanderson, but taken back by Ford. And we talked a little bit about how in earlier games we've seen them build up the wings by bringing the fullbacks forward. If you think back to the only goal in this game, it was really one of the few times where they didn't decide to go over the top, and they did build that way. It was Ford taking it all the way up the field to send it across to O'Hara.
That's true. Ford made that nice run. You see Ford hanging high right now. That one was intended for her, didn't quite make it there. Looks like a much more deliberate start to this half than the first for both sides.
Good, Sophie.
Touched out by Molly Pathman,
Push her all over
making
the
her
line.
11th start, 12th appearance. Back for Ford, and now Rampone.
Mike Breakers in particular giving Sky Blue a lot of space in their own third, allowing them that entire half of the field before they start defending.
And so a lot of players sitting back. It's very compact at the moment. Schmidt tried to dig through that massive humanity, and it's taken instead by Washington. Another nice ball onside. Here's O'Reilly, tries to chip around Lloyden, does, but can't catch up to the ball she played. A nice connecting play with Mewis, but does not lead to a goal.
Lloyden came out very astutely, or I think O'Reilly would have tried to play that over her. Looked like at the last minute she tried to dribble around and took a touch too hard.
O'Reilly, a pair of goals this year, came close to a third. And that was a really nice give and go that she executed.
That was pretty much exactly what Tom Durkin told us he wanted to see his team do in this game when we spoke to him pregame. Sit back, attack on the counter.
Nikki, higher and wider. Get out.
And once again, Rampone starts it ahead.
Nikki, higher.
Garden State through and through. Walks across midfield. Ford being chased. Gets it away from Pathman, who came all the way up. They're having Ford met by Pathman, the left back, near midfield.
That's a matchup that I'm happy if I'm Sky Blue. I think Ford has an opportunity to do some damage on that side, but you can tell the Breakers' concern with Ford getting forward with how high Pathman is going up to meet her. But again, if I'm Sky Blue, I'm pleased with that matchup. I would look to exploit that area.
Stanton allows O'Hara to get there. And Reeves able to play it by. And Schmidt knocks her down. And it looks like a booking coming up for Schmidt, who's still walking away.
And I wonder how much that foul has to do with what Reeves did in the first half. It certainly looks like Reeves has the attention of the Sky Blue team right now.
Schmidt's first card of the season, and it comes in a game where she's playing that holding mid down the middle of the field for Sky Blue in place of Ashley Nick, who's dealing with some concussion symptoms. Everybody lines up at the top of the 18 in the 54th minute. Played over the top, headed down by Kutschel. And Reeves allows it out.
That was Sierra that took that free kick, so the baptism by fire thing, she's got an awful lot of responsibility. She's made some good defensive plays. Solid debut for her in a Breakers kit.
Crossed where Lloyden can snap it down, and you got to think it doesn't happen all that often, that you haven't even trained with a team yet, and yet you trust a player coming in. You expect her to have the experience necessary to be able to take those kind of free kicks.
And it's obviously much harder for a defensive player because of a blunder in the back and you go down a goal. Forwards are sort of give away the ball by nature, doesn't do quite as much damage, and they can change the game on the other side with one quick touch. So it's an impressive debut.
Ocampo playing all the way back at midfield, was pushed up. Ahead, Lloyden grabs it. Reeves not able to get there.
Another good read by Lloyden, because I think Reeves had Cutshall beat to that first touch if Lloyden wasn't there.
Sliding move to keep it again. Ahead from Stanton, who showed some nice maneuvering there. Brought up by Levin. Outside for Ford. Stolen by Pathman. And a hard challenge from behind, and Ford whistled. Our referee is just looking for a little bit of peace and quiet on the field right now. Everybody has an opinion on that tackle.
Yeah, it's been a fairly clean game to this point, so I don't think there's any reason to be flashing the cards around. On the reason Pathman was able to take that away is because the ball with the Ford was right to her. They need to lead Ford, let her use her speed and get moving. There was too much time there for Pathman to step in and get a piece of that.
Ford initially keeps O'Reilly off the ball, now outraces her to it. Pathman takes it again. Taken by Schmidt. And now Friels. And Stanton tracks it down. Stanton once again. Friels moves ahead. A quiet first half for her. And here's Ford. Schmidt will pass. Friels finds it. Ball onside. Trying to get it. Ocampo working against King. Forced off the ball. Kickback still alive. Johnson to the middle. O'Hara knocked out by Nair on the line.
Nice job there by King to knock the ball away from Ocampo, and O'Hara, who just has seemed a little bit off with her finishing in her Sky Blue career thus far. That one a fairly routine save for Nair.
Today, notwithstanding, she has that one goal early, but when it's that close to the goal, the net's that open, it's not all that difficult a goal to score. Another offside, and those are the kind of goals you want O'Hara taking. She has so much speed that if you can find her moving forward, you can get her some of those chip-ins. She's able to beat her mark from time to time rather than maybe asking her to get the ball at the top of the box, hold it, turn, and shoot.
And you saw in the first half she had a couple of close calls. You can see that she has the sophistication in her game to maybe score some goals when it's not a perfect setup for her. But so far, in the, like as I said, in the Sky Blue career, it has not necessarily happened for her.
Nice clear by Rampone, but it's taken by Pathman. O'Reilly was offside on the return upfield. And the automatic restart from Rampone. The wily veteran starts it the other direction. Not a lot of waiting on a lot of these free kicks we've seen given. A quick restart for Sky Blue. They're trying to catch a fairly young team out of position in Boston Breakers. Played again, a through ball that's offside. Although the flag comes down as it's brought back the other direction by Pathman, and Ocampo continues to get caught in the trap.
And the Breakers clearly here are looking to sit back when Sky Blue has the ball on their defensive line. And the quick restarts don't give the Breakers that opportunity. Counterattack here would do the same.
O'Hara races to the middle. It's open in the box. Put it over.
Congratulations and head on up to the press box to claim your voucher. Next game may be you can Instagram your best selfie to win.
Kelly O'Hara, you mentioned it. It just hasn't been able to find the goal all that often. She's a forward who sees routine time on the women's national team for the United States, has moved to forward here for Sky Blue, but she just hasn't been able to find that knack in her club career.
She's been close, and if you watch her play closely, she really does a lot of things to positively impact the game.
Absolutely.
For her team. But around the goal mouth, struggles have continued at the club level.
Goal scorers are a bit of a special breed. There's usually a player in every sport that's maybe just takes a bit of a different mental makeup. You think about a closer in baseball, a goal scorer in soccer, even a goal scorer in hockey. Sometimes it just takes a little bit extra of a mental edge. If it's not totally there, it's very easy to make the small mistake. That time she just lofted it slightly over the bar on what would have been a really pretty goal.
There certainly are goal scorers that they're just born with that knack to finish around the goal.
O'Reilly looking for Sanderson, and running out is Lloyden to snap it up. And once again, a quick restart. They're trying to catch people off guard here.
Yeah, and just now there was that Sanderson-Cutchall matchup we talked about in the first half, but Lloyden came out and ended that play.
We'll see if O'Reilly goes back to the well and tries another cross. Instead, Pathman. King. Over the head of Reeves, and back to Lloyden once again. For Sky Blue FC, this is last time you'll be able to see them for about a week and a half, but they've got a 3-game homestand coming up as it's brought up by Sky Blue. O'Hara knocked off the ball hard in the box, but all ball hit by the defender. Attack still on. Ford tries to sneak it through the legs. Instead, knocked right back to her by Mewis. Brought up by Johnson now. And Nikki Washington knocks her off the ball and steals it away.
Physical play definitely upped since halftime. Looked like the pace was a little more deliberate, but both teams with some very aggressive challenges since halftime.
And to go back to that previous thought, 3 games at home, July 2nd against Houston, July 6th against Kansas City. Second team in the league, Amy Rodriguez pays a visit to Yersack Field. And Washington Spirit come on July 20th. Reeves takes it. Walks into the box, tries a low shot into the waiting breadbasket of Jillian Lloyden. Of course, a 2-game road trip coming up that may well decide how the rest of this season will go for Sky Blue FC. You can find some results against Seattle and Portland on the road, as hard as that may be, as Ford steps onto the ball and trips right down.
Sky Blue swept that trip last year when they went out there.
They did.
And played a midweek and a weekend, but totally different Seattle team this time around. And have to be honest, it's a different Sky Blue team this time around also.
And, of course, that was at the start of the worst start to a season in NWSL history for Seattle, who in 1 year is undefeated through the first half of the season. Levin through 2 defenders. Crosses it. Headed wide left. Not a bad effort. It was the sub Stanton who rose up.
Got her head on it, just went the wrong direction on her.
Last time at Sky Blue FC was home, it was Foligno who provided the biggest spark. She's warming up on the sideline right now. Over the top for Ocampo, and there again. Slid out by Schmidt. And taken in the back by Johnson. Schmidt once again. Nobody there, and O'Reilly steals it away. Plays a long ball that Lloyden will call everybody off on.
That was some sloppy midfield play by Sky Blue, and uncharacteristically rushed there by O'Reilly. That could have been a more fruitful counter for the Breakers.
This goal, this game still feels like it's got a goal left in it, though. We'll see which team can find it. Neither team interested really in a draw at this stage of the game. Loser of this game would fall to the bottom of the standings. And a hard foul from behind by Nikki Stanton.
It might actually be an unusual.
And there's a yellow card, second yellow of the game, and a quick restart, which they will call back.
Yeah, they call that one back. So we'll see if Whitehill gets into this one now on the restart. But it might be an unusual circumstance today, Mike, where Sky Blue actually is the team that would be a little bit more satisfied with the draw, if only at the expense of losing for a fourth straight game. Remember, they beat Portland, a great win in the 84th minute or whatever it was in the last few minutes, and then they came home and dropped 9 points in a 3-game homestand. So I'm sure that in the back of their minds, Sky Blue are at least thinking, we don't want to lose 4 in a row at your sack.
Sanderson gets it through. King the extra touch. Reeves wasn't able to find the clear set play for her. Didn't break through in time, and Lloyden picks it up.
Now that said, Sky Blue, like Boston, they're looking for 3 here, not 1.
Taken by Stanton. And here comes Sky Blue moving forward. Ford. Rampone off of Sanderson.
And again, not enough space for Ford there, and an easy closeout. This time O'Reilly came in and closed her down.
Rampone trots toward the midfield line and leaves it for Cutshall, who scored her first goal of her NWSL career last week against Chicago in a 2-2 draw. An explosive second half for Sky Blue, really an explosive 5 minutes for Sky Blue, where they got both of those goals from Cutshall and Hayes.
That was their point right there. They got their draw. They were better in the second half, but Jen Hoy was at the penalty spot, could have made it 3-0 before halftime, hit the post. Later blamed the wind, I believe, for taking that ball. It is a windy stadium, but really Sky Blue earned that point off a 5 or 10 minute stretch.
So a free kick coming from good position. Rampone will step forward.
The Logitech mouse, wireless mouse, goes to Sabrina Diorio.
Launches it into the 18, headed by O'Hara. And a foul against Sky Blue, rather an offside again on a free kick, which is,
you don't see that too often.
Difficult to do, yeah. And a player was down on the far side of the 18. You thought, okay, there must have been a push, but to have 2 offside on 2 free kicks in the same game is borderline difficult to do. Through the legs, but kicked out by Ford. Sanderson crossfield. Mewis.
Good Katie, tight, no turn. Well done, Katie, find her again.
Held by Stewart, and now Sierra. Whitehill. Sierra again on the clear by Johnson. Now Levin brings it forward. Schmidt.
Keep running, Kelly. Keep running, stay on.
Caitlin Ford for Rampone. This is a case where this possession hasn't really meant all that much. Yes, they've possessed the ball here, but haven't been able to break through like they did in the first half. Hard knock. Schmidt comes up with the ball.
You see right here, all 11 Breakers are behind the ball trying to defend. Not an easy defensive tactic to break through, no matter how much possession you get.
Well done, you two.
And Schmidt may have found some room. Kicked away. Taken right back. Lining it up. Here's the try. Stanton sent it up and over the bar. She has not been at all content to just play within the construct of the game. She's made a couple of big plays already, has Stanton, since she came in.
She hasn't been shy to take the shot. I don't love the too many shots from outside the 18, but every now and again we saw Katie Friels a few games back knock one in with only defensive players between her and the goal.
That was that shot from about 20, 25 yards that just floated over Hope Solo against Seattle.
Yep.
Gave Sky Blue a lead at the half, but they weren't able to hold on to that and fell to the Reign, who play Western New York at 3 o'clock right here on the NWSL Soccer YouTube channel.
That Seattle game was the reverse of Chicago. The Reign had a quick flurry shortly after halftime and turned that game around.
Rampone forcing the issue. Stanton followed closely by Stewart and knocked down from behind.
That's the far side of the field from us, Mike, but it looked like Stanton did a pretty good job to draw that foul, no?
Well, and really it did not look like a hard push, no. Looked like she may have gotten tipped on the way.
Yeah, she may have been heading down before the push.
Still counts, and we'll see if this free kick goes better than the last two. Middle of the area and over the top of everybody. Kutschel chases it down, holds it in. Levin. Back for Kutschel. Nice move. Ocampo. Kicked for Stanton. And Nair gets there just in time, as collapsing on top of her was Stanton. We're into the 72nd minute at Yersack Field, tied at 1. A goal in the first minute, a goal in the 31st. Sky Blue held a lead for about 30 minutes before seeding. O'Hara scored early, about 40 seconds into the contest, one of the fastest goals in NWSL history. And then Jasmine Reeves equalized in the 31st. On the foot of O'Reilly. Pathman, the overlapping run. Goes to her. Gets around Ford. Back for Sanderson. Through ball. O'Reilly is through. Looks for Reeves, but there's Lloyden.
Sharp game and goal this afternoon for Lloyden, another Sky Blue player who's had her share of ups and downs, but she has read the balls that have been near her 6-yard box extremely well today.
Ford continued to move it forward, but Ocampo is in an offside position, which has been the case seemingly a lot today. Taken by Nair. Spent some time in Germany and Bundesliga and said that it really helped her with her technique, her footwork, a little more time on training, those kinds of skills. Said that helped her continue to improve her game here in the States. Kicked ahead by Sierra, the newly acquired defender. And Schmidt plays it back to 11 as Sky Blue controls from the back. And with only 9 teams in the league, pretty much everybody has a goalkeeper who's on the national team radar, whether it's for Canada or Germany or for the United States. Barnhart in FC Kansas City has done a tremendous job this season. Hope Solo in Seattle, Angerer in Portland. Lloyden is a 3rd or 4th choice keeper for the U.S. normally.
And the U.S. has traditionally had a fairly deep pool of goalkeepers, men and women. Seems to be a position that the U.S. is very adept at developing.
Pick up the tempo a little bit. When you go fast, a little faster. Of course, we're doing both, right?
Hope Sol is still chasing the shutout record for the U.S. women's national team. Didn't play against France, and a sub coming up. Played in the first game, not in the second. Both teams are going to make a move here. Maya Hayes will come on. Nikki Washington off for Boston as they make a move to Maddie Evans.
Number 18, Maddie Evans.
I was just about to comment that I was surprised. We're up to nearly 75 minutes here, and Boston hadn't made a sub yet. Sky Blue just made the one, but now they've got Hayes on like we had predicted and Evans for Boston.
They bring off Cami Levin, and Janelle Foligno, the Canadian international, is still warming up down on the left touch line in front of us, and one would think Ocampo would be the next player to go in favor of fresh legs. We'll see if she comes on momentarily. A long toss that Rampone kicks ahead. Here's Maya Hayes. Hayes gets it through two defenders, but it's picked up in goal by Nair.
Good help there by Whitehill.
Maya Hayes out of Penn State, a prolific goal scorer in the Big Ten, not just for being in the Big Ten, but nationally in her collegiate career. Got her first professional goal against Chicago. Kutschel in a race with Reeves, but takes it. We usually have Danielle Diavanzo on the broadcast, but we talk about it a lot. Maya Hayes is that one goal away from breaking out, and she can find a goal here. It may well be a game winner.
And she had the one against Chicago, so now we'll see if she can keep that up. It's not easy to come into a game with 15 minutes left and make an impression. Early on, though, she's been around the ball and the goal here 2 times already in the first 60 seconds or so she's been on.
Certainly a good start for Hayes. Freshly subbed in Maddie Evans. Left the pass a little too strong.
Evans is a good, energetic midfielder who actually had one of her breakthrough matches here last year in a bad Boston loss, but she was one of their better players in a game. Started off as an amateur player, eventually caught on for a full contract.
And that was her NWSL debut. Flags up, offside again. Usually it's the opposing team that Sky Blue is able to see take all the offside whistles. Hasn't been the case here today. Not surprising. Looks like this is Ezerike getting ready to come in.
Usually, Mike, it's Lisa Devanna, the one who's got all the offsides calls against her. She's now a former player for both these teams. We've still got a bunch of offsides.
So Kem Ezerike comes on. Off goes Jasmine Reeves, who scored the game-tying goal back in the 31st minute.
And a very impressive work rate for Reeves throughout this one.
Taken by Ezerike, and her first touch is stolen away by Friels. Brought up by Ocampo. There's a lot of open room out in front of her. Has Hayes streaking down the middle now. Instead goes out wide. O'Hara cuts inside through the legs of O'Reilly and kicked out. Into the 78th minute and the first of what is an exciting soccer triple header today. Sky Blue FC taking on Boston first. Then a really important match between Western New York and Seattle. Could Seattle's unbeaten reign end? Can Western New York work their way back into the playoffs? And we continue to see the group of death play out at the World Cup in Brazil between U.S. and Portugal this evening at 6 o'clock. So it's packed end to end with world-class soccer on the women's and the men's side today.
The Breakers evidently have it all worked out with where they will stop on their bus ride home to grab a bite to eat and watch U.S.-Portugal.
I believe they're going to make it out to Connecticut before they make that stop. Give them a couple hours to get there. Friels picked the pocket of Evans. And Mewis is involved in a hard challenge, which is quickly restarted by Friels. Hayes with pace to the middle of the field. Ocampo turns, shoots, blocked, grabbed by Nair.
There's Sierra again, another good defensive play, sliding in for the block.
Sierra's birthday coming up on Wednesday, turns 23 years old. Brought up by Rampone, and we enter the 80th minute of play at Yersack Field. A solid crowd on hand for this one on what is a beautiful but a little bit hot day in New Jersey. Just white clouds overhead. Perfect weather to watch a soccer match. Ford has it cut out. Taken by O'Reilly. Nearly blows by Kutschel, or rather O'Hara, who's over there. So a throw coming up here. At this point in the 80th minute, Boston still has, I believe, one sub left to use, as does Sky Blue. And we'll see if Foligno maybe comes on at some point.
I know Jasmine Avant is a player that Tom Durkin mentioned was available, but not sure if Avant is the type of player you want to bring on to find a goal.
Here's Hayes. Oh, to the middle. Friels knocked out by Nair. What an incredible save.
That's world class by Nair. Good build-up, nice shot by Friels. And that's why people have Alyssa Nair tagged as someone who's right on the precipice of getting into the national team picture.
Oh, what an incredible save that was, and to allow no rebound, because Friels would have been in a perfect spot if that ball was blocked right back.
Yeah, a great goalkeeper must have great hands, and that was a good example there from Nair.
Well, that may have been the moment for Sky Blue, and involved again Maya Hayes.
Yep.
We may be seeing the blossoming future goal scorer for Sky Blue FC right in front of our eyes. In that case, nearly the unlocking game-winning assist. Sanderson forced off the ball. Hayes recovers. Stanton.
That's a yellow card too.
Nice to see Friels involved too. She's been somewhat quiet. 80th, 81st minute. Nice to see her still involved in the attack.
Friels lofts it over. In the middle. Knocked away by Sierra, who's able to slide it out. Hangs around Hayes, and Ezerike is battling with Kutschel for the ball as Kutschel wins it.
We'll be giving cards for that. That's not even a foul on them.
Rampone looks to go over the top. Ocampo the steal on the clear. Taken by Nair.
Not sure if the Breakers are content with a 1-1 draw, but I think that they're content not to make any foolish giveaways in search of getting the game winner here. They're still playing with an awful lot of people behind the ball, sometimes all 11. Again here, you'll see Sky Blue will have almost their entire defensive third to work it up and figure out how they want to orchestrate their attack.
Ford, the right back, is playing pretty far forward, launches it over to Nair.
Heather O'Reilly really has done a solid job of coming over to help on Ford. Always a reputation as one of the hardest working players in women's soccer. And just about every time, you can see it a lot easier with Ford on our side of the field now. Every time the ball goes near Ford, O'Reilly's right there.
O'Reilly up to 205 international caps for the U.S. women's national team. Taken. Outside goes O'Hara. Stanton. Oh, she's got room to work with now. Friels. Makes a move inside, knocked off the ball, a foul at the top of the arc. And this is a perfect position for a free kick. And now you bring in Janelle Foligno off the bench for Monica Ocampo in the 84th minute.
Somebody didn't get up right away.
And it was Friels who was down on the play, who was being stretched out as soon as she went down.
Well, that's a longer effort than we expected out of Ocampo in hot conditions. 84th minute, she slowed a bit second half, but she was a factor around the goal early on in this one.
And another sub coming on, and we talked about it a little bit, but Jasmine Avant, maybe not who you're looking for to score you a goal, but I think for Boston that may not be the intention anymore with the way Sky Blue has grabbed the reins over the last couple of minutes.
Friels is up. Sky Blue certainly didn't want to send a trainer out, which would have made Friels come off and have somebody else stand over the free kick.
So out comes Mewis, and in comes Avant. There's 3 players over the ball. Schmidt is there, as is Friels directly behind it. Schmidt steps over. The player ran all the way up and immediately gets a yellow card as deserved.
Matty Evans there. Tell you what, Schmidt can bury one here. Did it last year in Seattle.
See if they change the play call. She stepped over it the first time.
Taking 3 steps forward.
Now they're ready. Here's the strike right into the wall. They look for a handball. It's a penalty kick. A potential game winner in the 85th minute could be on the way.
In a season of unintentional handballs in the box going for penalties, another one goes against the Breakers and Sky Blue with an incredible opportunity in the final 5 minutes.
Katie Friels, 4 goals on the season. A 1-1 tie through 85 minutes. After the handball, here's the penalty for the potential lead and potentially for 3 points.
Remember, O'Hara missed in stoppage time opening night against the Thorns. They settled for a tie.
Friels, it's knocked down by Nair. What an incredible save. Nearly into side netting, and she gobbles up the rebound.
And that was a legitimately fantastic save by Nair. Looked like she had the side snuffed out, but that was not a poorly taken penalty by Friels. Nair was all over that on the left post.
Absolutely incredible effort from Nair in the second half. Foligno finds Friels. Knocked off the ball. Holding on Sky Blue. Outside O'Hara, who is offside.
So late game penalties have not been the friend of Sky Blue this season. The one in Washington cost them a couple of points. And now we've had O'Hara miss the net altogether against Portland back in April, and now Nair stops Katie Friels with a chance. So it wouldn't have been a sure 3 points, but it would have been 2-1 up with 4 plus stoppage time to go.
And the way this game has gone in recent minutes, Boston has played on their heels quite a bit. That may be what they need to turn it around. They aren't bringing a lot of players forward to back up Ezerike, who's on the ball. Moves into the corner. Kicks for O'Reilly. To the middle of the field, and it's kicked away from Avant.
The entire back 4 pretty much stayed at midfield during that little run for Boston.
Held by King. Taken back by Rampone, who's running by everybody into the attack. But it's stolen again. O'Reilly on the ball. In the 88th minute. Cuts outside, the cross. No one's there to take it. Avant not able to hold on. Tried to plant and kick and could not quite get her balance.
And that's too much space conceded there by Sky Blue, considering the Breakers are not bringing any of their defenders forward here.
Some good numbers moving forward. Over the top, Foligno is offside.
Looks like the Breakers got a little bit of energy out of that PK save from Nair, but still not sending the numbers forward. No desperation tactics for Boston right now.
Crowd trying to will Sky Blue forward. Rampone for Hayes. Headed down and launched out. A player who knows what to do under pressure. Kat Whitehill up to the challenge. Here's Schmidt. Moves it forward. Strikes! Knocked down by Nair. Runs out for the rebound and snaps it up on the edge of the 18.
Almost slid too far there. You don't want to come outside the box trying to recover that rebound.
One of the more entertaining games at Ursack Field this year. A missed penalty kick in the 85th minute with a chance to try and seal 3 points at home. A first-minute goal from O'Hara, a 31st-minute goal from Reeves. Great saves, great chances, good goals. And it leaves us at a 1-1 deadlock through 90 minutes. Chipped over the top. O'Hara! Blocked out. Corner coming up.
Good chance when we get to the playoffs. We won't see either one of these teams in there, but terrific effort by both clubs this afternoon.
Friels, who missed the penalty kick earlier. Rather, Nair with a perfect save on a penalty kick earlier.
Absolutely.
There's the cross. Nearly headed by Foligno. Pops out the other side. Schmidt a header. Middle of the box. Wide right. Goal kick coming up.
There have certainly been enough chances here for Sky Blue to get out of here with a win. But you see 90 on the clock and only 2 minutes of stoppage.
No bounce right up to Jim Gabera. Good sport, gives it right back to O'Reilly.
Yeah, he wants the game moving. Gabera wants the game moving. He wants to get another goal.
Sky Blue has been on the doorstep time and time again. Do they have that goal in them? Schmidt. O'Reilly from behind. And the American fouls the Canadian. Kutschel moving forward. A lot of fresh legs available in the attack. Big hit in the middle. Downs O'Hara. King was there as well. And a big-time free kick with about 1 minute remaining in stoppage.
This is a little bit further out than you'd want to be if you're thinking goal. But certainly you can create something here. It looks like it'll be Rampone to take it. No tricks here. She'll stand over it, and almost everybody else will be in the box or getting there.
4-player wall. Back post. Knotted down. Hayes tries to get a ball through. Out to the right side. Turning. Shot! Right at Nair. And Friels was able to get a great strike on it given her position, but couldn't find the net.
That was so similar to the ball that Nair missed on the Keelan Winters header against Seattle 3 days ago, and that time she played the short hop very well.
We're at a minute 30 in stoppage. Brought up by Yvonne. Spins off Stanton. Stanton nearly steals it away. Instead, another ball outside for Yvonne. Some room to the middle for Sanderson. Could it be one last try for Sky Blue? This is Hayes. In the final seconds of stoppage. Hayes into the waiting hands of Nair on the deflection.
Julie King came over to help. That's it.
The final whistle. And Sky Blue not able to find the final goal and the final 2 points. Instead, a 1-1 draw. Boston and Sky Blue battle it out. 1-1 the final. Welcome to the Meridian Health post-game show with Dan Laletta. I'm Mike Watts. Sky Blue comes away with the draw here. And Dan, when you look back at the game that was, you can't help but feel that Sky Blue was on the precipice of 3 points so many times, but they just never got over the hump.
They certainly had more chances. Credit to Alyssa Nair for making some top saves, including the penalty. But you get a penalty inside 5 minutes, and the game is tied. You've got to convert that. You've got to be out of here with 3 points. Positive things from both teams, but the 1 point for each. The nails are almost driven in the playoff coffin right now.
Well, things are going to get a little bit more difficult over the next week. We've seen Houston and Boston, a couple teams near the bottom of the table, face Sky Blue. Now you have to go on the road, really about as far as you can get. Portland and Seattle. Seattle dealing with some internal troubles. Hope Solo's situation continues to evolve. That game is Saturday, but you're facing a very much rejuvenated Alex Morgan. 4 goals between 2 in the last game and 2 with the women's national team against France.
In a 3-day period, I'll mention, by Alex Morgan, including a big one late against France. Portland had 6 yesterday against the Spirit, so they're obviously finding their best stride. At some point, the Reign are going to lose. We don't know yet whether Hope Solo will play or not, but Haley Kopmeyer was pretty good against Boston the other night. We'll see how she does. Sky Blue, she played once last year, actually was against Sky Blue, and Sky Blue beat her. And if I'm not mistaken, she saved the penalty in that game. That said, Seattle's pretty good, Hope Solo or no Hope Solo. Their midfield is fantastic. They've beaten up Sky Blue pretty good twice already.
Well, it'll be certainly a tough matchup, and as I look down at my boards here, the next 3 games, Houston on July 2nd, FC Kansas City on the 6th, then the 20th, they welcome Washington. That homestand will likely be the final stand for Sky Blue, but certainly a couple of results on the road could change the entire game for Sky Blue, but it's at this point certainly an uphill climb. Dan, your final thoughts from this one?
Well, again, final thoughts are both teams really played well. I think if this were an April game, both coaches would say pretty good start, a lot of things to build on. But when you're 8th and 9th in the table, there's not a whole lot that you can build on because you need points. So right now, I don't think either team looks at the standings when they go to play their next game. They just need to try to continue to get better and figure out where they're going to be heading to the end of this season and into 2015, because there's a lot of points that have been left out there. Sky Blue, we mentioned the O'Hara penalty. Now you've got the Friels penalty today. Washington tied them up late. That's a lot of points to be left out on the table.
Well, that should do it for our coverage here at Ursac Field. The final score, a goal in the first minute from O'Hara, a goal in the 31st from Jasmine Reeves for Boston, a 1-1 final with a penalty kick saved in the 85th minute. For Dan Laletta, I'm Mike Watts. For all of our crew downstairs who are burning the midnight oil, new graphics, really putting a lot of effort into this and doing a phenomenal job, for Glenn Crooks and Tom Kolker in pregame and halftime, thanks for tuning in. Our next broadcast, July 2nd, as the Sky Blue FC squad returns for 3 home games. Thanks for tuning in for this one. Final 1-1. So long. Times that we got kind of tied up, those are all on me. So hopefully,
I'll take at least 80% of the play.
yeah. Sometimes I just need to shut up.
You get the look. You get the leash. You get out the door. You get sudden numbness and a severe headache, signs of stroke. So you get help. You get to a Meridian emergency room. You get treatment found only in primary stroke centers to stop stroke in its tracks. You get better. And back to your best friends. Learn more at meridianneuroscience.com.
The Soccer for Success program is
There was that one time where I said Puckschel made a play on the near sideline. As soon as I said that, I'm like, what?